Brian Kilmeade, Fox broadcaster, should not only be taken off the air and Fox lose its license for allowing him to call for the extermination and lethal injection of homeless people, but it also rises to the level of being a crime in New York State. So why isn't and shouldn't the Manhattan District Attorney indict and seek an indictment of Brian Kilmeade for criminal solicitation in the first degree, for a hate crime enhancement, for aggravated harassment, for making a terrorist threat in order to coerce a civilian population to go after homeless people, many of which are veterans. So let's cut out the middleman. Fox News, Brian Kilmeade called for people to euthanize homeless veterans because I guess Kilmeade doesn't want to see them on the street. I'm Michael Popak. I usually kick off the first video on Monday morning or the first video every morning on Legal AF talking about something about Trumponomics. But something caught my eye about Brian Kilmeade so casually commenting and calling for the murder of a fragile group of defenseless people in America. I'm Michael Popak. You're on Legal AF. Thank you first for helping us cross over the 800,000 subscriber threshold before our first birthday or anniversary on the 17th of September. Brian Kilmeade, over the weekend, made a statement that was not challenged, was basically ignored by his fellow colleagues on the Fox couch, that homeless people should be given a lethal injection. Not only was that shocking, not only does that violate decency regulations as part of the Federal Communications Commission, even in Trump's FCC, but I believe rises to the level of being criminal. And just as we just saw in the wake of Charlie Kirk's murder, First Amendment expression by people not of the MAGA ilk being challenged, people being thrown off the air, Matthew Dowd losing his job because of some inartful commentary before the shooter was apprehended or the suspected shooter was apprehended. Why isn't the right, why isn't MAGA calling for the head of Brian Kilmeade? We know the answer to that. That was rhetorical. But we should hold them accountable. As we watch Donald Trump struggle, as Maggie Haberman observed in the New York Times, struggle with the messaging around how to bring the country together or activate his base in the wake of Charlie Kirk's murder, Donald Trump's so busy trying to make him out to be a martyr, the Martin Luther King of the MAGA right for political gain and political purposes, that he's lost sight of the main role of the President of the United States, which is to represent all people of every ilk, of every color and ethnic background and religion, gender, that call themselves the American people. I don't know why he's struggling with messaging, probably because in his heart, he hates more than half of America. It's the same reason we saw Donald Trump struggle, because he was equally seething on January 6th, not because of the attack on the Capitol, but because he believed the election had been stolen from him and what was happening on Jan 6 was justified. And so he couldn't bring himself, despite being forced by his handlers at the time, to give a speech to call for people to stand down, to tell his supporters to leave the Capitol immediately. We've all seen the speech of him fumbling around with that. This is the same guy that can't get the messaging right. While that's going on, the Brian Kilmeades and the Foxes of the world think they've been given license to violate the decency provisions of the FCC code, which they should be investigated by the regulator, Brian Carr. But that'll never happen because Brian Carr on the FCC is MAGA through and through. If that happened, trust me, if something similar happened or anything close to it on MSNBC, what is it called now? MS Now, or CNN or the New York Times or any of the other moderate papers or liberal papers that are considered that way by MAGA. They'd be picking up pitchforks and torches, going after those people. Let me show you the clip of what Brian Kilmeade said, and watch the reaction of people on that stage to what his colleagues to his comment. No one challenged him. No one called him out. And except for a half-ass apology that we got later, only because of the firestorm, that's the only reason. Again, he should be prosecuted for a crime. Let's watch the clip first.
Billions of dollars to mental health and the homeless population. A lot of them don't want to take the programs. A lot of them don't want to get the help that is necessary. You can't give them a choice. Either you take the resources that we're going to give you, or you decide that you're going to be locked up in jail. That's the way it has to be now.
Or involuntary lethal injection or something. Just kill them.
Yeah, Brian, why did it have to get to this point?
Right. I would say this. We're not voting for the right people. In North Carolina, wake up.
You see that reaction? That is, as far as I'm concerned, making a terrorist threat under Section 490.20 of the Penal Code of New York. I see that as a attempted solicitation for murder. You're basically telling your audience, which is the largest mainstream broadcast audience in the United States, to go out just hours after somebody picked up a rifle and fired it at one of their icons, and calling on these people to go into homeless encampments and give them a lethal injection. Let's not pussyfoot around about this. Let's not normalize it. Let's not say it was taken out of context. What would be the context that would make that statement better? Yeah. Hey, Brian, why don't we just put them and tell them that we're taking them to showers and put them in the showers and use Zyklon B and exterminate them like they did in Nazi Germany? Why don't we do that? It's the same thing. It's the same thing. And there's also this heartlessness and callousness and casual heartlessness and callousness demonstrated by that statement. The fact that a person could make that statement on Fox News. And the failure to recognize the root causes of homelessness. The root causes of somebody being without housing. The fair amount of mental illness and drug addiction that is also embodied in that person, and many of them veterans who have served this country in a way that Brian Kilmeade could never and has never. So he's basically calling, if you just kind of get it down to the equation, we should give a lethal injection to homeless veterans because Brian Kilmeade doesn't want to look at them. The Manhattan District Attorney, if he's not already looking into this, that's malpractice. I'm sorry. If he's not already having his team investigate which of the, and I've already given him the outline, right? Making a terrorist threat, take a look at that, 490.20 of the Penal Code of New York. Hate crime, 485.05. Soliciting aggravated assault, 210.31. Attempted solicitation, look in the 100 to 100.20 chapter of the Penal Code. That's a good start. And I'm hoping that the reason we haven't heard more about the Manhattan DA opening that investigation, one, they're not like Pam Bondi, they don't announce their investigations that way. But I hopefully it's not fear for Donald Trump going after them, the way he's gone after Letitia James, the New York Attorney General, or other icons on the left. I don't think so. That's not my impression of Alvin Bragg, who famously was the first one to break the glass ceiling and obtain a 17-count conviction against Donald Trump for election interference and business record fraud. He also obtained a 19-count conviction in another case against two of Donald Trump's companies. So if anybody's got the brass ones to go after Donald Trump, or in this case, Fox News and Brian Kilmeade, I would think it would be Alvin Bragg. And I kind of wanted to give that outline. On the other side, heads are rolling because if the moderates and liberals misspeak or use an ill-advised phrase concerning Charlie Kirk or his death, it's off with their heads, right? If the Republicans do it and the MAGA does it, It's free speech. Brian Kilmeade's comments crossed the line of free speech. If we had an FCC that wasn't under the thumb of Donald Trump and MAGA, run by a Heritage Foundation participant in Brendan Carr, we would already be having him do a press conference, much as he did when CBS, was editing Kamala Harris's 60 Minutes interview or editing Kristi Noem's interview recently. We'd already be hearing from Brendan Carr about the FCC is opening an investigation as to whether their license should be pulled, But where is the investigation about decency having been violated? I'm not talking about First Amendment speech. You don't have the First Amendment right to call for the lethal injection of another group of people and hope that your audience takes you up on it. That's not protected by the First Amendment. So it's going to be up to the Democrats, it's going to be up to the non-MAGA to not let this issue go and to open up a criminal investigation. I think it should be announced. I think it should be taken off the air immediately. If that's not something that forfeits your job, then that says all you need to know about the organization behind it, which is Fox. Fox even got rid of Tucker Carlson after embarrassing emails came to light in a defamation lawsuit. What are they going to do with Brian Kilmeade? It's not the first time he's said stupid things, hurtful things, misogynist things, attacked women, attacked gay people. This should be a line that he's crossed that's gone too far, but we'll have to continue to watch it. I'm Michael Popok. You're here on the Legal AF YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button. We're trying now to get to our 1 million before the new year. That would be the goal. And that keeps us on the air. That keeps the content coming to you. That keeps the interviews coming to you. That's the way to support what we do here. Plus, Legal AF Substack. We've got about 85,000 subscribers there, including many, many that are paid. And that helps us, stay on the air and pays the bills and brings the content to you. And in return, we give you some amazing sense of community and community building over on Legal AF Substack. So join us and become a part of that as well. So until my next hot take, have a great Monday. This is Michael Popok. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.